I'll find us a Challenger this week for us to compare with. See if Buttman has any used Challengers.
They don't. No, they've all been stolen. It's a dangerous game. Do you park it outside and risk it being stolen, or do you park it inside and risk it burning your house down?
The ASMR Daily Motor intro. Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of the Daily Motor Podcast. I don't know which episode we're going to stop getting applause, but the crowd seems to love that we're still recording these.
With an extra dose of AMSR.
ASMR.
So close.
So close. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for watching and listening in. We're here to talk about the cars that we had last week, and it was a busy week.
It was a busy week.
It was. Yep. It was definitely. Starting off, we had the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Good truck, but a very different sort of truck than the Bronco. We did a little comparison video driving our...
You mean the Maverick? You said Bronco.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You mean Maverick. Okay.
I don't even remember saying, but the Santa Cruz. That's what I meant to say. Did I say Santa Cruz?
You said Bronco.
Oh.
You said we had the Santa Cruz is a different truck than the Bronco.
Oh, yeah. Very different, yeah. Well,
okay.
Chris and I joked about that in the review that we would misname both vehicles.
Misname, yeah.
A lot.
So,
but
it's still happening.
Yep. Against the Santa Cruz and the Maverick, they're both good, but both very different sorts of vehicles. And what we kind of concluded was that the Santa Cruz is a little bit more like the Ridgeline in that you own it to fulfill a very specific ownership profile and the type of people who it works well for. It's going to work really, really well. People who put on a lot of miles, they do a lot of driving, and they just have a very specific lifestyle that they want that vehicle to fill in for. It's going to work great.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought of this at the end of my time with the Santa Cruz. I don't know if I mentioned it too, but I think you'd agree. The Santa Cruz feels more like someone who would not buy a truck. Other than that, they really want a crossover. Like they need a crossover, but they just like they want the bed kind of, and they're just going to throw that in there. But the Maverick, I can actually see people who want a truck, people who want like an old Ranger, buying the Maverick.
Yeah, well, the Santa Cruz is also more of like an adventure vehicle, whereas the Maverick is more of like a utility vehicle.
But that adventure term, I think, means more in this context of like road tripping. Because the Maverick, I think, is a better off-roader. Because you don't have a dual clutch. You can get the FX4 off-road.
Right, but if you go to Hyundai's website, it is a sports adventure vehicle by name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So different sorts of adventuring, I guess.
Yeah.
You'd also have to adventure deeper into your wallet to buy one, because each trim of the Santa Cruz is about $6,000 more, 5 to 6, than the equivalent Maverick.
Yeah, but did you know that you get a volume knob with lower trims of the Santa Cruz?
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Hyundai?
Yeah.
What is that? According to Charlie, buttons are more expensive, yet the buttons are on the cheaper... Who in the world?
Not only that, but you get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto with the cheaper Santa Cruzes.
What?
But with the upper models, you don't. You have to wire it.
I was not a fan of that infotainment system in the Santa Cruz. It just didn't feel as well. What type of infotainment does the lower trims have?
It's a smaller screen with a similar format. Is it
similar to the one in like the Stinger and some of the older?
No, because it's a Hyundai.
Oh, aren't they the same?
No, they have a different system. It's similar-ish, but I mean, only similar in that like they're touchscreens.
Huh.
Yeah. No, I think the infotainment's pretty good in the Santa Cruz. I mean, you spent what, 20 minutes in it?
Well, I messed with it more. When we first got it that Monday, I spent about 15 minutes just messing with it in the parking lot. I just didn't like the layout. I thought from a aesthetics standpoint, I thought it was a bit bland and just weird how the whole car was kind of like this curvy, sharp angles, and you just kind of had this boring, like squared off infotainment. I like a lot of other Kia and Hyundai infotainment looks better than that one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had nothing wrong with in fact, the resolution of the screen is really good. You turn CarPlay on and it
seemed to react fast.
Yeah.
Too.
Same with the gauge cluster, very high res.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very bright.
Which is important because there's nothing covering it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my footage from my night drive was all blown out because of how bright the screens were.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that's pro tip. You gotta lower the brightness.
Gotta screw it up once to learn for the rest of them. So
There you go.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was a good vehicle. I think there will be people who buy them, but I bet you the Maverick outsells it 10-1.
Well, yeah, they already have to set me.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Well,
And I would rather spend time in the Santa Cruz. Like you drive it and you're immediately comfortable. It's a nice interior.
Yeah.
It's smooth, but I would buy the Maverick. So I would, as much as I'd like if someone gave me the keys to both free and said you got to drive from here to California, I'm gonna pick the Santa Cruz.
Well, yeah.
But if it's like you have to have a car loan and you have to own one of these, I'm gonna pick the Maverick, which I did.
Something about the Maverick makes it feel like an underdog to everything, but that gives it so much character. Like it's always got something to prove to everyone else. The Santa Cruz, I don't know, I just couldn't get any real emotional feeling out of it.
Well, that's funny you say that because it's a nice transition to the other vehicle we had last week, the Bronco. I've been arguing with the Chris's about this for a little while now.
Yeah.
Definitely a vehicle that's got a lot of hype and a lot of character. But I am on the side that, don't get me wrong, I like the Bronco. I enjoyed my time with it, at least the time that I wasn't on the highway, which admittedly I spent a lot of time on the highway, probably sort of tainted my view of it. I just think it's a little bit overhyped in that it does nothing better than a lot of other cars. But I guess I need to get over the fact that I keep looking at it as like a practical one-car household sort of vehicle.
No.
And it needs to be seen as like it's like a Mustang.
Yeah.
It really is like a
100%.
Mustang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion that the Topher and I came to on, is that we were excited to go out and drive that car in the way that it was just fun to drive, and it was satisfying and rewarding to drive that car. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. Of course, it's not going to be the most practical, especially if you get a two-door, but like that's kind of the point. Like it's an enthusiast car. So,
can I point to something very inexcusable with that? The roof liner. When you touched it, all the little particles would rain down.
Is that a pre-production car, the one that we had?
I mean,
don't know.
It's been a whole it's been a known thing.
Yeah.
And that's just like,
well, the good thing about that is you can take the roof off.
yeah, but what if it's rain?
You do have to unlatch, like 16 different latches to get the whole roof off?
If you have it as a second vehicle, okay?
Yes.
Take the hard top off, throw it away, and park it in the garage and only take it out on sunny days and go for your spirited drives.
And yeah, I agree with that as well. And that's where you do kind of have to say, all right, this is an awesome second vehicle, but not necessarily a great... Like, I think if you were a single car household, if you really had to look yourself in the face and be like, okay, do I get a Bronco or do I get like a 4Runner? I mean, the 4Runner is going to be less cool, but it's also going to be much more reliable, better fuel economy, just as good off-road for like 95% of
this
your
is another
needs.
one of those, this is brilliant, but I like this.
Yeah.
And I like the Bronco. I just like it.
That's fair.
The thing is, though, back to that roof liner, as a Ford enthusiast, it drives me insane that anyone at Ford would sign off on that. Like, that would just think like, oh yeah, that like nobody will notice that. It's the most hyped car, and yet they just let something like that slide under the radar through the entire length of production, design, how long it took for them to actually produce it. And then there's still things like that. That to me is just absolutely inexcusable.
To be fair though, none of us noticed it. Except for you.
That is true.
Dad noticed it in the back, and it's like you noticed it too. Like when
I noticed, like when you specifically called it out, but like I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't call it out.
I'm sure you would eventually, but you were driving and looking.
And Chris didn't notice,
and I happened to
the Topher didn't notice.
I happened to look and actually poke it, and then it came down.
Okay, I'm not arguing that you're right. I'm just saying none of the three of us didn't notice it.
Even so, though, that's like I just can't believe any automaker would ever pass off on that. Like that is just
maybe they didn't notice.
Seriously, I mean, I think that's probably the case.
Maybe they're just now finding out.
I agree
listening
that
to the Daily Motor podcast.
I agree that Ford screwed up. They should not have. I mean, they should have just done a more traditional roof liner with it. But I did not notice it until you pointed it out.
Yeah.
So what would be stopping someone from just getting like a more base one? I'm looking at the second highest trim. What is this?
It's a Big Bend.
Big Bend. I mean, is this what you would get, Chris? Did you build one out?
Yeah, I'd probably go Black Diamond.
What are you
which
getting?
Is the next one up.
What are you getting by stepping up to that?
Black Steelies and more aggressive tires.
These are black Steelies.
No, they're not.
What are they?
Those are aluminum wheels. Also,
why would you want Steelies over aluminum?
Because they look cooler.
Okay.
That's the point of a Bronco. You're not.
So the more
whatever you think.
So wait, the
cool.
more expensive model gets you shittier wheels?
Yes. I think you get better headlights and a different. Maybe you don't though. You might have to go up to Outer Banks to get the better headlights.
So at least, but like, I mean, this one's going to provide you all of the fun of the one we had, plus more because it's a 2-door. And what's it costing?
How much is that?
You?
30, 35?
Yeah, 35 grand. That's
I would
not
drive
bad.
that one. No,
yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I would drive any trim.
Yeah, I think with the Bronco, they're better if they're crappier. And I feel that way with the Jeep too. I feel like other than the 392, the best Wrangler is the cheap one, the one you feel not as bad when you scratch up the paint, if you ding it with a rock or something like that. Like you could take it and thrash it. Yeah. And a cheaper Bronco is going to give you everything that the Bronco we had that was 50 grand, which I don't think is an awful price either for a 4-door. You had the really nice Sync 4 screen, nice leather, Badlands. I would definitely get the manual. That was the biggest surprise for me with that car. That manual was really nice.
So before we had that manual Bronco, I was set on if I were to ever get a Bronco, I'd get the 2.7 with the 10-speed automatic. But now that I've spent a few days in the manual, 100% would go manual because it excuses more of the things that we talked about earlier with, is this car really something you'd want to drive every day and is it practical? No, not really. But if you get the manual, then you can excuse it more as like just a fun to drive toy.
I do have 2 complaints, but they're not enough to make me not get the manual. One, there's an analog speedometer, but no analog tachometer. Oh, yeah. And did you notice at least sometimes like driving around, it's got a little digital tach that just kind of goes up and down with a similar color. Yeah. It's just kind of hard to see what your revs are.
I just went by the sound of the
sound
engine.
and the feel.
Yeah, sound and feel. After like 10 minutes of driving, I'm not even looking at the cluster.
But it's just driving. Like if they have the analog tach, because they have both analog speed and digital speed. So why not change the analog gauge to just be revs? That's my one. It's minor, but my one complaint.
That would make sense.
And then 2, that motor, the 2.3, it has enough power for daily driving. I was fine with the motor, but max torque comes on at 3,400 RPM.
Yeah.
So you do find yourself, say you're on a 55 mile an hour road and you want to go around and pass somebody and you're in 6th gear, you probably need to downshift to 5th or maybe even 4th.
Yeah.
To do that. Minor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually not as uncomfortable as I thought I was going to be on the highway fuel economy test.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was
speak
fine.
to that a bit. It was a little loud, but
I wasn't. I mean, honestly, okay. To be fair, I was playing music pretty loud.
Sure, and a decent sound system.
But a really good sound system for what it is. Yeah, absolutely. But I wasn't as beaten up as I thought I was going to be. Like I really was not even phased. Like it was fine. And the adaptive cruise control worked really well. Even with the manual, I wasn't downshifting to pass cars. It had plenty of power for me. I mean, obviously downshiftting a 5th, you would have gotten more. But even staying in 6th gear, going around stuff, like it was fine. I could tell it was flooring itself, but
do you remember what RPM you're sitting at 70?
No, but I have a picture and I can tell you.
That's the point of the picture.
Yeah.
Yep. And since there's no big tachometer, you're going to have to really look in at the picture.
2,200 RPM at 72 miles per hour.
That's not bad for a manual.
Yeah.
That's really not bad at all.
And this is when it was indicating a 20 mpg even reading.
Yeah, what did you come out with? 20 was your?
19.7.
So yeah, round up
20.
20.
Yep.
Okay. We also off-roaded that quite a bit. Very capable. Did
Extremely
just
capable.
about everything the Jeep could do.
Yeah.
And it has a crawl gear.
Yes.
Which made it very capable.
Yeah. So I made the mistake yesterday of coming down 94 to the garage, which is like
there was construction.
Well, the ramp was closed to get onto Michigan Ave. So I was sitting in like 10 minutes of traffic. I used the crawler gear, and I never had to touch the clutch. Like just rolling, I just like rolled through traffic in the crawler gear, and it made like the whole situation like really easy. I barely had to like feed the clutch in 1st gear. Just left it in crawl and.
So C on the shifter actually stands for crap. There's traffic.
Yeah. Exactly, but. Another use for your crawler gear, if you're not off-roading,
sure.
If you're in, 1-2 mile an hour moving traffic where, in a traditional manual car is very irritating. Exactly. You can use the crawl gear and literally you're revved going 4 miles an hour. You're revved at like 2,000 RPM. So, you know, the car will just go.
And if you were in really bad traffic in Chicago or something, you put it into 4L and then use the crawl gear and you just come to a stop. It'll be fine.
Exactly. The clutch is useless at that point.
So I think I think as you were telling me that someone at Ford was shocked how quickly the Maverick and Bronco Sport sell compared to the big Bronco. And I think that just speaks to the fact that so many auto manufacturers are coming up with more and more expensive things that don't really pertain to the majority of people and what they really want out of a car. If a car is cheap enough, but yet cheap and practical, I think are the two main hitting points on a new car.
Yeah, and I think that us as journalists have to remember that in what the bulk of people actually buy. That's so many people that literally don't care what they're driving. They just need wheels. Like, honestly, most people should not buy a Bronco. Like, it's a specialty vehicle. And I think we as, again, being in the industry, we see, oh, Bronco's won 10 Best. Bronco won North American SUV of the Year. So we like think it's a bigger deal. And there's been a lot of hype and everything. But fast forward a year or two, and yes, the Bronco should only be selling like a very small portion of sales compared to bread and butter vehicles.
Yeah.
Then you got these new car companies like Lucid and Rivian, which come out with these like really amazing high-tech electric cars, which are cool and all, but like, I always just wonder what would happen if a new car company came out with something that was like found a way to make a $20,000 like basic cheap electric car.
If they could, I'm sure it would do really well. I think it's just the cost. That's why even like Tesla, they started with the Model S because like
the Roadster.
Well, yeah, technically the Roadster, but like their main first like, you know, their own car that they built. I mean, the Roadster isn't a lease.
Yeah.
Was the Model S because they needed something expensive because everything was just going to cost so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the Bronco is a good sports car. And totally. I think that Topher kind of said that initially, and it really makes sense once you really break down who should actually be buying that. And there's gonna be people who buy one and they just take it to Starbucks.
Well, they buy it because it looks cool.
It looks cool.
And same thing with 90% of people that buy Jeep Wranglers. Sorry, Jeep people.
No, and
it's true.
You're right, and they're all wrong because they really would be better in a Bronco Sport.
Or a Compass.
Or a Renegade or something like that. I mean, it really is true. So, Bronco, good car. Not for me, but I respect.
I want one really bad.
Right.
Yeah, but I have no reason for one because I have other cars.
Would you trade your Cayman for one?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Yep. Okay, that's the Bronco. And our third car was forgettable, apparently. Mini Cooper Electric. Another car that's stupid.
You spent like
but I like it. It really is. And here's the thing. People forget that Minis are luxury products. We don't think of them that way, but they really are. They're a small luxury brand.
Yeah.
And the same way that someone would spend...
It's a mini luxury brand.
Exactly.
Yes.
The same way that someone would spend $3,000 on a purse, which I think is absurd. There are people who would spend $35,000 on an electric Mini that can only do 100 miles of range.
Would you like to know what the 0 to 60 was on that?
Sure.
Admittedly, on snow tires.
That was not ideal.
But it was still
12 seconds.
7 seconds.
Oh, 7. Oh, that's not bad.
That car's very fast. Like, you could zip and zoom around in that thing.
The issue was, though, is the front wheel drive. Like, even if it was like warmer with regular tires, I still don't think it would be able to get below 6. Because if I was doing 30 and hit it, it would spin. But once I got to 40, it petered out so much.
I launched it twice, and I think it was probably around 6 seconds. Like in my like
butt dyno.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I could check the footage,
and the other thing was that in the I warmed up the tires a little bit because I drove through a little bit of snow when I was turning around, so I wanted to get all the snow off, and it didn't slip that much, but still, it just
Yeah, I mean, it's not the time. It's on winter tires. There's salt on the roads. It's cold. I mean, it's not where most people are going to own this car. I mean, the thing also only did 80 miles of range on the highway.
Yeah.
But again, winter tires, cold conditions. Mm-hmm. Most people who buy that car are going to be in New York or LA, and they're going to not worry about it. And admittedly, even with its small range, I put on a few hundred miles on the car. I did all my running around throughout the days, and I'm here.
Yeah.
I wasn't stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So I would seriously consider buying one of those if we were of an upper tax bracket and it were Alyssa's car and she just got to drive it around for all of her things. And when we took road trips, we'd take my car.
Yeah.
Or our third or fourth or fifth car. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, well, don't you also wish that it came in convertible?
Yeah. If it came with a convertible, that would be the ultimate. So
Yeah.
Someday, there's no electric convertibles out yet. Except for, well, it's not full electric, but the Wrangler plug-in hybrid.
Oh, yeah.
Can, go 20 miles or so in convertible mode.
Are there really no convertible EVs?
No.
There's one company that will turn a Model S into a convertible, and it does look absolutely awesome.
That would be awesome.
I believe that.
It looks like a Rolls-Royce Dawn.
Yeah. In fact, Bentley will probably have an electric convertible. They'll probably be one of the first.
Mercedes, they'll probably do a
Mercedes
SL EQ.
Yes,
God, I can't wait to drive that new
EQ
SL. It looks so sick.
Yeah, it really does. Bring it up here real quick.
How is there no electric EV? I'm really, really thinking right now.
Electric EV?
Did smart or convertible EV is what I meant.
There's no electric EV.
Didn't Smart make a wait? What about the Fiat?
Oh,
what
yeah,
about
you might be right.
the Fiat 500e? Did they do a rollback top version of that?
I think I know they did an Abarth, but I don't
Well, yeah,
think
they did Abarth, but did they do a Fiat 500e convertible? And also, did Smart make a Smart EV convertible?
Oh, yeah.
Fiat 500e convertible. Let me drag it over to you guys.
Is it real? I don't think it. Oh, 500e Cabrio. There it is. Is that technically a convertible though? And also, we don't have that in the U.S. anymore.
Yes, it is a convertible. Wow, it's got a larger larger battery than the Mini does. Availability looks like, at least for this year.
We haven't gotten those in America for a couple of years now.
Right.
Okay, well, if you live in Europe, there it is.
As Nathan has made very clear on this podcast before,
Yeah.
America is treated as second-class citizens. Here's that new SL.
Oh,
Look at that.
it looks a lot like the AMG GT, which I love. Wow. Mercedes
knows how to do ambient lighting and
They
interiors.
so
that's for
do.
Sure.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's gonna be neat. They put the 4-liter in. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
4-liter V8, 5.7. God, that thing's gonna sound. Can you imagine those sounds with the top down?
That's gonna be I
Yeah.
think one of the. I mean, hopefully we get to drive one this year.
Maybe we'll line it up so that we have that and an LC500 convertible in the same week. And
0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
I will do nothing else but drive that week. If we have that in an LC, I'm gonna be out for a week straight driving.
It's not
We'll
as
take a road
fast
trip.
as an Escalade.
maybe I can get that for my bachelor party road trip. Have I told you about that yet?
No.
So
What's your plan?
we're all gonna go. I mean, you're invited, obviously.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, you're invited to the wedding too. Yet you just haven't.
Thank you.
You and Emily haven't gotten an invitation. We haven't sent out invitations yet.
Okay.
But 2 weeks before the wedding, or maybe 1 week, we're gonna do a 2-day rally from here along the east side of the state, along the coast, all the way up to like Mackinac Harbor, somewhere around there. Spend the night, and then next day drive all the way down the west coast and back across. That'll be my bachelor party.
What? And you're gonna get us cars?
Well, maybe like us.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else can just drive whatever they have.
No, I mean by us I meant you, me, and Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe Chris will have a fun car by then that he wants to take. I don't know. Probably still have the 4Runner for all we know.
You should treat yourself to either an SL or a LC500.
Well, if we could get an SL and an LC500,
yeah,
that would
and
be
then we
pretty
could
darn sick.
we could swap too.
Yeah, we flip flop.
Yeah.
We don't have to all drive the same car.
Yeah.
We could get the SL63, an LC500. What other good June convertible muscle sports cars are there?
Well, you don't like the BMW M8, so not that.
That's also not a convertible.
Yeah, it is. It can be M8.
You can get the M8.
Yeah.
Convertible? I knew you could get the 8.
You can have an M8 convertible. Am I crazy? I thought you could have an M8. What else? Audi. Does Audi make it? No.
I keep forgetting.
Porsche. What about a?
Oh yeah, we
911
gotta get a 911.
911 convertible.
I'm
yeah,
surprised.
there it is. M8 convertible.
Wow.
I would drive that. Maybe
Well, you'd
You
hate
guys
yourself for the whole week or weekend. It's not very good.
I'm
M8.
like not
not convinced that it's as bad as we thought?
No, I am convinced because to be honest, like the M car that I was the most thrilled with last year was the M5.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah, there it is. But yes, you're right. Porsche, we could get either a 718 Boxster or a 911. And I thought of another one. We could get you a Bronco. That's a convertible.
I wouldn't complain as long as it was a manual.
Right. What else can we get?
What about a F-Type?
Oh, yeah. F-Type.
We haven't driven the new F-Type.
F-Type SVR
the
convertible would be great.
facelift.
They still make a convertible of that?
I don't know.
We get a Corvette, too. It's a convertible.
Oh, yeah.
C8. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Z06.
That might be right around the time.
Yeah.
If we could get, can you imagine that? Like the four of us, we've got like C8 convertible, SL63,
LC500.
LC500, and like M8 convertible or 911 Cabrio.
Imagine going up M119 with that. How angry all the people who live there would be.
Yeah, and not to mention all the other cars. Hopefully, Chris's friend Tom wants to come with his. Did he sell his Corvette yet?
Yeah, he's down to just a Cadillac CTS now.
He'll probably get something by then.
Oh,
A
that's
symphony of V8s.
Yeah, yep. It's gonna be
Loud, crackly.
If I could get some sort of V10, that would be the pinnacle.
Audi R8.
Yeah, Audi R8 V10.
What else is even a V10 now?
Huracan.
Huracan.
Yeah, Huracan. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun trip. And then I'm gonna try to get us something pretty sweet for the wedding as well. Hopefully it
Cullinan?
rolls. Yeah.
Cullinan.
No, not a Cullinan, like a Phantom.
Phantom.
Or a Ghost.
A Phantom is
Cullinan's not that nice.
what?
Yeah,
What do you
seriously,
mean
because
a
it's just
Cullinan's not that nice.
seriously compared to the sedans, it rides like an X7. It rides like a
Well,
a
isn't
fancy
it? Isn't
X7.
it on same
Yeah.
platform?
Yeah. Whereas
I
like
just-
the Phantom is its
I was just
own
thinking
thing.
interior wise, it would be the nicest. No.
Not.
No.
No, Phantom's much nicer.
Okay. Well,
kind of a shame.
the Phantom is like it's so big.
Yeah.
I
practically
I
massive.
distinctly remember walking downtown Chicago and there was a brand new Phantom street parked,
Mhm.
and there was a Suburban sitting next to it, and the Phantom was much larger than the Suburban, and it was just hilarious. It was hilarious. I took a picture, and like the Suburban looks like a smart car next to the Phantom. It's so funny.
I want a Phantom. That'd
Yeah.
be pretty cool.
It's like the size of an SUV. It's massive.
Yeah.
It's such a big car.
So I don't understand why they bothered to make a Cullinan.
I know. It's just
When the
because
Phantom's so big, yeah.
rappers wanted an SUV.
Mm-hmm.
So they could say Rolls truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why they made that car.
Speaking of truck and rappers, we will be getting a Hummer EV truck this week, or not this week, this month, and racing it against Max's TRX.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Two of your buddies' cars, right?
Yep. That's going to be a fun one.
That
Max,
M1?
yeah. Max already knows he's probably going to lose, but
Probably. What do you mean? There's no chance.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
gonna- yeah.
I know. But
Well, we'll let him think.
Unless the EV catches on fire.
That is
That is
fair.
true.
That's fair.
Yep.
I've seen those Hummers. I've seen videos of those Hummers launch properly
Violent.
quick.
Yeah.
Violently quick. There's no way the TRX. The TRX is fast, but there's no way.
TRX will sound better, but that's about it.
I mean, he's gonna get beat by like
Yeah.
8 car lengths.
And we're going to be YouTube famous. So, because we're going to have the first Hummer EV versus TRX video, hopefully.
And what
Yeah.
about TFL?
No,
Oh
because
God.
I think
I
should
thought we
be able
weren't allowed
beat
to
them.
say those letters on the podcast anymore.
It's
Are
funny.
they gonna complain if we upload that?
I thought they already did one.
Oh, they did? Is there an embargo on the Hummer or no?
There hasn't even been a press event, I don't think.
Doug reviewed a Hummer.
Yeah, but he
Launched
did he drive it?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, okay. Well then, whatever.
It was only at Ford's
it was a long
place,
time
though, right?
ago.
Shh.
That
Oh,
isn't.
wait,
No, that's just press footage.
Yeah, I think it's all
No, right there. Oh, that's
No.
a Rivian. Oh, it's the Rivian I was thinking of.
Yeah. That's an old school H1. Yeah, so I mean there's a good chance. Oh
Hennessy
hey,
Venom.
I saw that guy on the
Keeps.
right at the Kia event. Yeah. Can't remember his name, but shout out to him if he's listening.
Oh, no, that was Doug did it. I keep getting the Rivian and the Hummer EV.
Is driving it.
Yeah, I think he was only allowed to drive it around Hummers or General Motors test facility. That's why he's got a mask and everything. So I don't think anyone's driven it like outside of GM Proving Grounds.
Has your buddy gotten his yet or no?
No, but it should be in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Because he's like a first edition, like, first production truck sort of
So
thing.
we'll have to like hustle when he gets that.
Oh yeah, I
'Cause
told
as-
him we're gonna
as
want
soon
to do
as
it
they
right away.
As soon as they get delivered, the content's going to be going crazy.
Content, we must feed the machine.
Yep.
Yeah, this DM Instagram's gonna be blowing up. Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, so fun convertibles. SL is good. And Mini Cooper SE is a neat car, but for the one percenters, as weird as that sounds. I mean, it just doesn't make sense from anyone with only like a one-car household to own that car, unless you lived in the city. But still, 35 grand. Mm-hmm. You know, some financial incentives, but it was fun. I enjoyed driving it.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah,
it was mid. Yeah, kind of like the normal driving mode. It's called mid.
It is.
You notice that? Okay. Anyways,
on that mid. All right. Anything else? Oh, last week was also Kia EV6, and because this is coming out after the embargo, which is today, I can actually talk about how well it drove.
Yeah, how well did it drive?
It drove well.
What did the steering wheel resemble?
It did have the Ford Econoline patented steering wheel.
Two-spoke, baby.
Inside of it. Yep. I actually might have.
I like the design of the EV6 steering wheel.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
I like the Ford. I like the old Ford steering wheel too.
Yeah.
Me too. It makes me a lot of money.
I actually don't. I actually don't have my videos on here, but
I thought I saw your thumbnail.
Just look it up online
earlier.
Yeah, that was the sound test video. You guys can go look it up if you want to see it. But I was gonna talk about the hilarious sounds it makes when you launch it. Maybe I can pull it up here in a minute. But it was a good car. Pricing is very competitive. Nothing really offensive about it. It was nice to drive. I think the Mach-E is a nicer vehicle.
Is that what it's set out to compete with?
A little bit. I mean, the Mach-E is weird because it's in the class of a lot of those type of cars, you know, the Model Y, the all those type of things.
Yeah.
But the Mach-E is just a hair more premium than a lot of those, and it's not nearly as efficient. So the Mach-E has similar range numbers to the Kia, but it has like 30% more battery in it. So it takes like 30% more battery just to get the same range.
What?
Some sort of weird noise happening right now.
It's just my voice, I think.
I don't know.
Is it? Yeah. I don't think it's your voice. But okay, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just not nearly as efficient. So even if you owned the car I'm telling you, it's something in my...
Are you like wheezing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's okay.
Don't make fun.
It's okay. I just thought that something was happening. I thought there was a technical difficulty.
There's so I think you'd have to really break down the power, like all the numbers on whether you get the Ford or the Kia. I hate to say it, Ford, but I'd trust the Kia more from a reliability standpoint, and it charges so much faster. You can get 0 to 80%, which is like 200 miles of range, in 18 minutes of charging.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really
so you can literally just like plug in, but it's got to be at one of the super fast 350 kilowatt chargers, which is not a ton of them.
The EV6 or a Volkswagen ID4?
EV6. Okay. The ID4 was kind of like the Mustang, the Mustang. In the other direction, though, it's like, it's technically fine.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have it. Kind of like the GTI.
I guess, Model Y, ID4.
I would definitely take a Model Y.
My thing with the Mach-E is the fact that it's called a Mustang, though. I keep seeing Ford advertisements, and they like always have it, like they start off with the first Mustang ever design.
Yep.
And then they like show it like the evolution, and then it's like Mustang. It's like, no, it's not.
That's why they do it.
It's just
to get people riled up for more marketing.
And I gotta admit, the Mustang does drive more spiritedly than any of those other EVs.
It does, 100%
the
does.
EV6.
It does.
It just like there's electric car fast, like the Mini. I mean, every electric vehicle is like quick because of the inherent. But like the Mustang actually does like have some sporty driving,
hustles, especially
so does the Model Y.
It also
GT
drifts really easily too.
Right.
I remember the first time I drove it, I accidentally swung the tail out on a dry road too.
Oh yeah, it'll get slideways.
All right, let me grab my cable real quick. I'm going to play for you guys in a minute.
The EV6.
The EV6, the sounds, because it's quite cool what the EV6 does. Kia gives you 3 different sounds, fake sounds that you can use, and you can turn those fake sounds off too if you don't want them. And that's really important because some people want like a Tesla type experience where it's just very quiet.
Yeah.
But some people want fake noise, and I respect them for having both. Okay, so check this out. In the new Kia EV6, you can customize the sounds the car makes. So if we start with off, I'm gonna get out on the road here. Listen, it's just a very quiet electric vehicle. Pretty normal.
See?
Sounds like an
quiet.
old EV.
But
Yep.
if you switch this up to largest change, listen to this.
Whoa.
That's cool.
So that's one of them.
That doesn't sound awesome. And not only that, you can change what it sounds like. So if you go to custom settings here, and you can choose 3 different ones. You can choose stylish, and then there's also dynamic.
This is the best one, I think.
But by far, the funniest one is the Cyber. Provides a new futuristic electronic sound for electric vehicles.
Yeah, and it's loud.
That sounds so cool.
It's so cool.
It kind of sounds like
and I'm
that.
glad that Kia offers that in order to be kind of silly, and not only that, but you can go to
It
Continue.
reminds me of something that like Tesla would do.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me of that Audi RS e-tron. It kind of
Yes.
sounded like that. And I
God, that
have
thing was so
not
fast.
driven a Taycan yet, but seeing videos of the Taycan, it kind of sounds like that. But
Well-
not as extreme though. That's really cool. I'm excited to hear that in person.
Yeah. And it's just cool that they let you not only customize, but then you can change the volume, how loud that is. So if you want it to be obnoxious for a little while, it's like remarkably loud, but then you can turn it down, just have it subtle, or just off. And I remember changing that multiple times throughout that drive event because sometimes when I was driving sporty, I wanted it to sound stupid.
Yeah.
And then other times I just wanted to shut up and listen to my music. So like,
Yeah.
good on them for that. And I'm surprised that someone like Tesla with all their stupid fart noises and everything hasn't given you an ability to put in custom
They could put
sounds.
you on Mars, but
Yeah, exactly. They can do that. But like, give me an option to put in like a Ferrari sound.
just ask
when I drive
Elon,
my
he'll
cars.
update it.
Yeah.
You
Well, in
literally-
like
I
3
guarantee-
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, the EV6 was good. It had a few weirdnesses, like there's some touch capacitive buttons for your heated steering wheel and heated. In fact, I can probably bring it up from somebody else's thing. EV6 interior. Yeah. Oh, that's going to take me to a video. That's going to take me to a video too.
Inside EVs. There you go.
So you see these buttons right here?
Yeah.
These are your controls for your heated steering wheel, heated and cooled seats, etc. But the problem is to adjust these, you're often resting your palm right here. And since they're all touch capacitive, multiple times I found my passenger cooled seat would get turned on because I was adjusting the HVAC.
It is important to have like a shelf. I don't know if shelf is the right word, but it's important to have somewhere to rest your hand because while you're going down the road, your hand is moving.
Yes.
So you can't always aim.
Yeah, you want to
perfectly.
stabilize. Yeah, and this is a very natural point to stabilize to put your palm, but it has the downside since these are touch-sensitive buttons.
Especially with touch
engaging
capacitive buttons, you really need that.
What is that material like on the dash and the center console?
It's interesting. It's like a woven, plasticky, rubbery sort of feel.
Is it made out of recycled bottles pulled from the ocean?
Probably some bullshit like that. But no, it was a very nice interior. In fact, the seats were suede. Yeah, this the one I drove was a higher trim than this.
Okay. I like that it has a climate control panel.
Yeah, and actually, it's quite
Does it
interesting.
have a volume knob?
It does.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
The thing is, oh my gosh, sorry everyone, that's so loud. This panel down here, where you see these,
knobs.
well, not only are they knobs, it's dual function. It's actually quite
Wow.
strange because
What a concept.
you press a button and that controls both your HVAC and everything. But you see right here, it's got climate controls. If you press this button right here, it changes to be your media controls.
Oh,
So you see right here, now it's map,
interesting.
nav, etc. So right now the knob would be volume, but when you press, I don't know if this video, let's just mute this, we're gonna get demonetized. See how she tapped that and it changed? It switched over to be climate controls. Wow. So now it's climate. And I'm not saying that's either good or bad, it's just different.
Which one's the volume
No,
knob?
that's
Oh,
good.
the one on the left?
Yeah, the one on the left is right now HVAC.
But it can also be a volume knob.
Right. If she were to press, yeah, she must have done it like right. Yeah, there it switched back. Now it's a volume knob.
That is brilliant.
Interesting.
It's fine. It's a decent way
The
to
fact
use
that they
use
put
it.
a knob,
I know.
a button, a physical thing you grab with your fingers.
No, it's a very good and very good interior. It's comfortable. It's nice. You got your Econoline steering wheel right there. Very good to use. Wireless phone charger right here, which anyone listening to this has already turned off the podcast since we're doing so much visual stuff. But wireless charger is right behind the shifter in the center console, and it's very easy to get to with your phone. It doesn't slide around either because it's very grippy and tucked in.
That's
which
important.
Although I don't know if your 12 Pro Max with a case would fit in there. It's a little tight. Or
Nathan's
your
phone's even
8T
bigger.
Pro, or just 8T, yeah. But no, I think it'll be a good car. It's priced well. I'd be happy with one. I don't think I would buy it. I think I'd save my pennies and get a Model Y. But it's just because the thing that Tesla does is they make cars just so cool from a tech standpoint. Like just being able to get in and put your foot on the gas and hit the stalk and drive away.
Yeah.
It's just such a good idea.
And I have to say, I like the Tesla's interior better. I like the minimal. Tesla did,
Right. Some people like them, and I kind of do too.
But there's no physical controls.
but they do.
Yeah,
they
there's no
did-
raving
about
no volume
physical
knob.
controls.
But they did such a good job with it. Can't you use
I
one
guess
of the
it has a-
knobs
it has
on
a-
the steering?
I was going to say, it does have
Yeah.
a knob on the wheel,
Yeah.
a roller.
So that makes it excusable.
Here's one thing that was weird on that Bronco. No right stalk on the steering wheel. Did you notice that?
Yeah, the Fords just do that. The
Well, that's my
F-150 is the
Taurus
same
is
way.
like that.
Really? The
Yeah.
F-150 doesn't have a right stalk?
Nope.
Yeah, the Taurus is like that too.
Sometimes I flash my brights when I'm trying to use the
I-
washer fluid.
Well, sometimes
Sometimes
I
that
flash my
happens.
brights, just turn doing the
Yeah,
turn signal for that,
sometimes
but
it
Does the
happens.
Maverick not have a right stalk?
No, it does.
Okay.
I think
It's the European Fords had both stocks. The American ones, the Edge, the Explorer,
Yeah.
at least from that generation.
He's right.
Oh,
They all had just one.
Yeah.
interesting. I could see with the F-150 because as we found on the Tremor, you can get a column mounted shifter.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But
Mhm.
interesting.
Maybe it uses the same like clock spring as the F-150 or something.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought that was kind of
It
interesting.
was also the generation where the American Fords had the just you'd hit the turn signal thing and it'd just come back like BMWs.
Oh, yeah, the BMW
Oh,
stuff.
my dad had a 2013 Fusion that did that,
Yeah.
and it was very irritating. My mom's current BMW does that, and I don't like it at all.
Right.
Well, the problem I always have is every now and then like I'll hit the turn signal, but then realize I want to go a different way. So I try to put it back, but then I put the other turn signal on. So then I literally every now and then I'll go back and forth, bouncing between the turn signals, trying to get it just to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real struggle. I agree. This week in the Daily Motor Garage, we have the Lexus ES 350 Hybrid. Overall, a good car. And, speaking of the ES, I was thinking the other day, I often forget about those on the used car market, but they'd be a really good car to have.
They're
Yeah.
expensive
Are they? Because they're good,
and they're they
reliable,
don't
and
break.
everything.
The ES has been around for a long time.
Very long time.
One of the first. It may have been the first, either the ES or the LS.
I think the LS was first. ES was very soon after it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say, or it could have been same year.
Yeah, it might have been same
89,
long
89 or
time,
90.
long time ago. Yeah. And they've just done a really good job with it. And I was thinking someone like Alyssa, I mean, you could get an ES that just drives nice, gets decent power, or fuel economy, everything. It's just like inoffensive car.
Mm-hmm.
And the hybrid makes it that much less offensive unless you want to floor it, in which case it's kind of grainy. But
Yeah.
what sort of ES hybrid owners are ever flooring their car?
Zero.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Yep, it's actually
The only thing with the ones from the mid 2000s, I like the look of the LS and I like the look of the IS. I don't really like the look of the ES.
I've never been a huge fan of the ES looks. In fact, I actually
It
don't
looks
really
like a
mind the new
whale.
ones.
The new
but
ones,
you're right, the older ones.
the nicest it's ever looked.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't want to say a whale.
Yeah, kind of the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, those are a little weird looking.
Yep. But that should be a fine car. We're gonna do a fuel economy test. I should look up the spec real quick. I don't think it has the Mark Levinson sound system. In which case, we will have
You also
to
have
do
to
a
see
test on it.
what kind of F Sport it is.
Oh yes, because it is an F Sport. Which Lexus, I gotta level with you. Who wants an ES hybrid that is any moculum of sporty? It's the opposite. It's the sheer antithesis of
Yeah.
a sporty car.
Yeah.
And yet you put F Sport on there.
Yeah.
What's going on? And Kurt McAllister, PR for Lexus Midwest, why did you spec this car that way? Unless it was Zach. And if it was Zach, why did you put a press ES 350 hybrid with the F Sport package? What are you doing? Who's buying that?
I knew it would be red. Lexus press cars are always red.
It's a good looking color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It must just be for the appearance.
Oh, there's no window sticker. That's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
Well, we will be consulting the Lexus build configurator. Oops. Lexus ES 300H.
What are you looking at? Purdue University.
I just clicked a thing accidentally. Starts at, yeah, that's a good looking
That
car.
looks better in non-F Sport.
I know. Well, it's like they gave us an LS 500 F Sport once. I'm like, who's getting an LS in order to be F Sporty? Like, you know, just give me comfort.
Sporty. Americans like
Lexus,
sporty.
The ES and the LS look better in their old fart configurations.
They really do.
Yeah.
Look at this. F Sport tuned suspension.
I knew it.
Why?
I knew it. That's why the badge is white. That's why the badge is white.
It's an F Sport handling car.
Yeah.
I don't even think it looks better. I think it looks better like this, like you just said. It
Go
looks,
down. Go down one more.
The luxury. There you go.
Proper. That is beautiful.
What would you rather have? Quilted semi-aniline, whatever that
I'd
means.
have-
Nice
and the
leather.
price I'd have
is
that
a
one.
little bit more.
Ambient
Wood
lighting.
trim, ambient light. Yeah, all this stuff. Highway
Does
drive.
ours have ambient lighting?
Probably
not.
not, because it's not listed here.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Oh,
there's
Ultra.
So
That
for
looks good.
For those of you listening, there is luxury and then ultra luxury.
That one's even better. The wheels are even, I mean, the wheels are worse, but they look better. Oh, 250.
Yeah, the 250 is garbage. Don't buy a 250. 350
Why is
would
the
be good.
250 garbage?
What did
Because
we
it's
drive
got
last year? Was
it's
it
a 250.
I didn't like that.
It's a underpowered 4-cylinder it's the same motor that's in Dad's RAV4 in the ES.
Why is that a bad thing?
Because think of the quality and the type of driving experience you want in ES, very calm, refined, not revving out. That 2.5 liter inline 4 has to rev.
It's loud
to make
it vibrates.
Yeah,
and-
so the only engine that should be in a 350 if it's not hybrid is the V6. Very calm.
Is that what this has?
Yes, this is the 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6
That's
motor.
true.
And this is so much better. The fact they put this in the 250 motor in there is just not good. It's 200 horsepower inline 4 that's got to rev really hard to get going.
It looks the most proper in brown also.
Yeah, that's true. So I think the ES is a really good car, but gosh, F Sport, stupidest thing for that car. Very, very dumb. I don't want sport tuned in my ES. I want to not notice that I'm driving. I want to think I'm on my living room couch.
Yeah, that's just idiotic
Yes.
to me. Anyways,
still probably a good car.
yeah.
And the other one we have this week is the BMW M240i. That's going to be a lot of fun because we're getting a snowstorm here in Michigan.
Yeah.
And that car is going to be on winter tires with X-Drive all-wheel drive. It's
We
going to
both,
be so much fun.
We both already drove that in California, and
Yeah.
it was fabulous.
Fabulous, very fast.
Yeah.
Very, very fast.
Very
car.
fast. And it gives good farts between shifts.
Yeah. I do feel like around here for daily driving, the 230i might actually be more fun.
I really liked the 230i also.
Yeah, especially if you got it in rear-wheel drive and you can just slip and slide around, and because it's still plenty power. But the problem with the M240i is it's so fast.
Mhm.
It's so fast, and because
heavier.
it's heavier and it's all-wheel drive and everything, and BMW's powertrains are so smooth that you get that speed without a lot of pomp and circumstance. You're just like, oh, I'm doing 100.
Well,
You're just there.
I was editing my video from that drive in the M240i, and I was blurring the speedometer when I got past a certain point, and I was reaching triple-digit speeds like around. Like I would exit a corner, and I'm watching my footage, and it's like 100, 110, 120. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even realize I was going that fast.
I know.
That's not even an M2.
No, it's a mid-tier.
Mid-grade.
It's M240i.
How much power does it have?
I think it's like
380,
Wow.
it might even be 392.
Something that small.
385, I think.
M240i horsepower. I guess I'm gonna have to say 2022. 382, 369
Oh, I was close. I
pound-feet.
said 385.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's BMW horsepower is just always really healthy. I mean, it's almost always underrated.
It probably makes that to the wheels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really impressive, and it's just so butter smooth. Look at that. The new horsepower figure surpasses the last M2, so it's got more horsepower than the previous generation M2.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of fun. It'll be cool to have it in a real world setting like this because you and I drove it on some fantastic long outstretched Arizona or California roads.
California. Yeah.
And
Canyon Road.
You know, the funny thing, you were talking about editing and blurring that. I did that as well, but then forgot to realize there was a head-up display that also showed the speed.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some.
So I went through and blurred all my speeds, and then the commenters were like, "We can see it
see
right
it
there."
still, yeah.
And I was like, "Well, At least there was an
You
effort
tried.
made. Yes.
There was an effort. There was
Yeah.
a
Effort
very,
has been made.
very honest effort made.
Yeah.
We actually drove it in this. Well, if you're listening, you can't see, but Thunder Night.
Thunder Night Metallic.
Thunder Night Metallic.
The beautiful
purple.
Yeah. Yeah. Jinxie Omia soda. Yeah.
Soda.
Very, very cool car. Good probably in all its different forms.
Oh, hey, look. There's probably the car we drove.
Oh, yeah.
Over to the right there.
Yep. That
Right
was
there.
where we drove it.
That's the road we drove it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good car. Looks a little interesting. And even though most people aren't going to agree with me, I think it looks like a Dodge Challenger.
Yeah, well, wasn't your main reason because of the door handles?
No.
Well, it's a mixture of the door handles, but also right here, this C-pillar.
It looks like a Dodge Viper from that side profile.
You think so?
Oh,
Being the
yeah.
two-door.
Kinda.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit.
I see the Challenger in the back, but in the front. With the
I don't
kind of
see
longer
Challenger
hood.
anywhere. I don't.
You'll see. I'll find us a Challenger this week for us to compare with. See if Buttman has any used Challengers on
They
the lot.
don't. No, they've all been stolen.
Because remember, kids, not only do Stellantis cars catch on fire, but if they haven't caught on
They're
fire,
free.
it's been stolen.
Yeah. No, they're free reign.
Take a look out into your driveway. If you own a Stellantis car, it's either
Yeah,
burned or
go-
been stolen.
Go check.
Then
them.
it won't be there. So yeah, if you look
know,
out,
it's-
it's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game. Do you park it outside and risk it being stolen, or do you park it inside and risk it burning your house down?
What is it with Chrysler products?
Chris, you also brought up a point about the M240i. The return of the door pull.
Yes.
It's no longer a handle that you stick your hand through. Like you can't go fully around it. It's the type you have to come up into and
Really?
pull out.
Those are coming back into style.
Yeah, I don't know if you can quite tell, but yeah,
Yeah.
you see.
Yeah, big worry in Australia. If you live in Australia, because I saw a video once.
Oh
of a door
god, a
handle.
spider's gonna be under there.
That's correct.
Oh
No,
my
he's
god,
right.
no, I'm never buying.
He's
it.
right. I saw a video of one crawling out of a door handle just like that, and it was the scariest thing ever.
That's terrifying.
So Daily Motor top tip, if you live in Australia, do not buy,
Don't buy the new
M240i. And with that, just kidding. This should be a good car. Tune in next week to
It is a
hear
good
how
car.
many drifts
So-
Charlie did and if he went through a pair of tires or not.
It's all-wheel drive. You'll be fine.
4 tires then.
4 tires.
Yep. Tune in to see if I give Chris any tread on the tires when he gets it on Thursday in the snowstorm.
Yeah, please leave me some tread.
Nate and I will also be live driving that. If you are one of the dedicated listeners who's listening to this first thing Tuesday morning, we'll be live driving it at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Something funny
Yeah.
Hey,
that
listen to this.
happened in my Taurus SHO in the last snowstorm we had.
Mm-hmm.
I was drifting around roundabouts late at night. Just and even though the stability control is kicking in, it can't really counter its massive weight
Right.
coming into a corner, and you can pull off some good drifts. But I came out of a roundabout, mashed the throttle, and just spun all the way up to 60 miles an hour. Then I got a warning saying all-wheel drive is off.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's where first thing I thought was how in the heck can it just turn?
That
the whole-
happens. My a buddy that I worked at, well, I guess kind of still do work at Buttman with, had a Fusion Sport that used to do that.
But
Same thing.
My first curiosity was, wait a minute. So does it mean it's just rear-wheel drive now, or is it front-wheel drive, or is it
Front wheel.
or is it doing a cross thing where one
Front wheels.
really?
That's
Even
what-
on the
that's-
Taurus?
That's what. Well, I don't know about it on the Taurus, but the Fusion Sport used to do that, where it would cut power, and he would get pissed because he's like, oh, I want to drift around in the snow, and it would kill his rear wheels, and that car has no parking brake, so he couldn't do anything. It was
Yeah,
really
it-
irritating for him.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't really tell what it was because of stability control. But
Yeah.
it was interesting. I was just like, how does it even do that?
You know what spec ours is that we're getting?
I can tell you in one moment. I'm
I've-
sure it's nice.
I've been picturing it as white all week.
That would be really cool. I'm willing to bet $100 it's purple, but white would be nice.
I bet you it's white. I don't want to bet you $100, but
The purple people.
I bet you
eater.
it's white.
This is the Stinger, which quick
it's
teaser.
red.
The Stinger we're getting next week.
Wait, we're getting a Stinger?
Look, GT2
Oh,
with the new luxurious interior.
That is my favorite car.
Yeah. Fun fact, shout out to James at Kia. He has a Stinger as his company vehicle, a Stinger, and he did a cold air intake on it.
Oh.
And it sounds so good. It sounds really, really good. He didn't even do exhaust. He's like, it would sound even better with an exhaust, but he wanted it to be quickly, like, you can put it back when he needs to turn his lease car in.
Right, yeah.
Drum roll, please. No photos. So it will be a surprise. Although, does it say Thunder Night Metallic?
Yes.
Dang it. Wait, black leather with blue stitching?
Apparently.
On purple.
Are you sure it's not Thunder Night blue stitching?
It could be.
Yeah.
Dang it.
No, that'll be a cool car. I'm waiting for the convertible. That'll be a
Current
nice
tire
car.
set OEM.
That's probably incorrect. There's no way they'd send it out to us on
Oh,
summer tires.
yeah, it would be on Super Sports, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or 4S's or whatever.
Yeah, there's no way. Speaking of that, did you see there's a new Pilot Sport 5?
No.
Yeah, should be a good
We
tire.
should have some of those this year.
Yeah,
Put a set on the one of the
Pilot
E46.
Sport. What are
No.
pilots? Are those summers or?
Yeah, there's summer tires. Pilot Sport 4S was one of the main summer tires you see around cars, and the 5 is
The E46 would rip itself to shreds on those tires. Like literally the rear subframe would rip out because it would have so much grip.
For those of you who don't know, Chris owns a 360,000 mile BMW 3 Series, 325?
323.
323.
Base model. 323i Sport Pack though, so it's got sport seats.
40.
Yep, sport seats, sport steering wheel,
And it's a manual.
different wheels, 5-speed manual. Yep, it's gone 300 and it's about to hit 365,000 miles, so it's gone all the way to the moon and halfway back.
Nice. I remember when my Prius had gone far enough to the moon.
Yeah,
And
it's like 200 and
250 something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
My Focus went to the moon.
Yep. Your Focus
two,
did.
no, it's like 2. I'm gonna look it up. Well,
All right. Yeah.
look it
You
up.
look.
I'll look it up.
Yep.
Um,
Wonder if my van is. Yeah, my van would have been there as well.
I want to get my Taurus on some grippy summer tires and then do another 060 because in all the other 060s, it spins when I take off, and I want that extra bit of grip.
I should have trusted my gut. I had this number in my head, 238,000.
238. Wow. Yeah. So we've had a couple cars go that far. Is the E46 the only car you've owned that high?
Yes. Yeah. The highest mileage car I've owned besides that was I had a 2003 Lexus GS 300,
Ooh.
which was a fabulous car.
Yeah.
I sold it right before prices went crazy, which is
Really?
kind of
It must have been
Sad.
right before I met you.
It was right before you met me.
Okay.
It was my last couple weeks working at the Honda dealership, and there was an employee at Honda that used to drool over that car every day. He'd come in and be like, "Oh man, I want that car so bad." I was like, "Well, I mean, like I'll sell it to you. Like I don't necessarily need it. Like if you want it that bad, so I did sell it to him.
Okay.
Technically, I sold it to his son.
What car was
He was
that?
an older guy. Lexus GS 300.
The old spider looking one.
Yeah, it was beautiful. If we have time, it's funny. What are we at?
Oh, we're
It's a
fine.
funny story about that car.
We always got time.
So it had, I guess I should say the mileage first. It had 174,000 on it when I sold it, I believe. It was silver, obviously. There's actually a video on the Topher channel of him driving it. If anyone's
Let people
interested.
see what it looks like.
Yeah, it was silver. Yep, looked just like that. It had a spoiler. It didn't have those wheels, but it had a spoiler. Yeah, it didn't have those wheels, but it was silver with a spoiler, just like that one.
Cool.
But it was so weird. I was in college still when I bought this car, and I was on this kick where every year I bought like a different winter car, just to like spice things up in my
Sure.
life. And I had already owned my IS 300 for a few years, and that car's been fabulous. I still own it. And I was like, I've always wanted a GS, so I was looking and looking and looking. I searched for 3-4 months trying to find a nice GS, and this car popped up for like $8,000. It was like insanely overpriced. This guy wanted like $8,000 for it, but I could tell it was immaculate. Like it looked so nice in all the pictures, and I saved it. It was on Facebook Marketplace. I saved it to my saved listings, and it sat on Facebook Marketplace for probably 2 or 3 months because it was so disgustingly overpriced that no one wanted it. And he finally lowered the price all the way down to $3,500.
Holy crap.
And
Who
I was
goes from $8,000 to 35?
yeah. Well, he was gradually lowering it. It went from
okay.
$8,000 to $6,000 to $5,000 to $4,000, and then finally he dropped it to $3,500. So I was like, all right. I went to the bank. I took $3,000 cash out. I was like, he's lowered it this much. He'll take $3,000 for it. So I had my Matthew. Actually, Matthew drove me. It was very nearby. I went to school in Midland, and it was in Saginaw, I believe. So it was only about a 30-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
And we get there, and the guy that was selling it owned a glue factory. He made glue
From like horse hooves?
No. It was all chemical stuff.
Chemical
like
glue.
he would like concoct different glues, and it was glue for, if I remember correctly, the windshields of fighter jets.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very cool stuff. And super nice guy. He was like, our parents' age. And, he brought us in, showed us around his warehouse. It was about the size of our garage. And he was like having us look at different glues. It was such a rare experience.
Sure.
And it was his wife's car, and it used to sit in his glue factory during winter, and he wouldn't drive it in winter. And this thing was immaculate. It was so clean. It had one little rust spot where one of the screws that was holding the spoiler on had rusted, and it spread to the trunk. But that was the only spot of rust on the whole car, and it was so clean.
And you got it for 30. What'd you end up?
So he had it for $3,500. I brought the cash out. I said, hey, I got $3,000. I'll drive it away right now. And he's like, man, I really got to have $3,200. He's like, I told my son I was going to give him a little bit of the money, and I got to get $3,200. That's my absolute bottom dollar. And I brought my roommate with me too, with Matthew, and she happened to have $200 cash in her wallet. And so I was able to get it with her additional $200. So nice. I paid $3,200 for it. Drove it for like 8 months, and then I sold it for $4,000 to that.
Now it would probably be worth $8,000.
I don't know about 8, maybe like 5.
Yeah,
probably $5,000. Because when I sold it, actually, it had a check engine light on because some O2 sensor code,
Gotcha.
And I had it diagnosed, and they thought that it needed cats, which would have been like pretty expensive to fix. And I was fully transparent with the guy I sold it to. I was like,
Sure.
here's it's got a check engine light. He's like, oh, they all have check engine lights. I don't care. I'll still buy it. And I was like, all right.
Okay.
I'm like, I mean, how much more perfect could I get for someone to sell it to? Like someone that doesn't care it has a check engine light. It's a very kind of a specialized car. So
and you made money.
I did. Yeah, I made a couple hundred because I had to do a few maintenance items to it. But overall, I went ahead and drove a car, for nothing for like 8 months. So.
Yeah, cool car too. Was it comfortable?
It was so comfortable, and it had the factory radio in it still, so it had like the cassette player. So I had a cassette to aux, and it sounded really good. If you watch the Topher's video, he does a sound system test, and it sounds so good.
All right.
It was such a good car. Like no complaints on that car. It was wonderful.
So Daily Motor top tip.
Yeah.
If you want a good cruiser.
Not to mention
2000 something or other.
2JZ.
2003.
2003. Yeah,
2003
but that generation was 98 to 05. So anything in there. But that car has the inline 6. That's also found in the naturally aspirated Supra. So same as my IS300.
It's like your
JZ GE. Yeah.
It's like your
my M35.
M35X that had the engine from the GTR.
No, it was the differential from the GTR, but it had the engine from the 350Z.
Oh yeah, that's
nice.
Right. Yep, the VQDE.
Any Lexus from that era with that engine is just wonderful.
Yep.
Really, any Lexus from that era, except the ESs are. Like we talked about earlier, they're a little sketchy, but like the IS, GS, LS, LX, GX.
The only problem with that GS is I just wasn't a big fan of the looks, the front end looks. Whereas like your IS looks great.
Yeah,
no one can.
I love the IS. That. Yeah, the IS is just. I'll never sell that car. It's just such a staple to have in the collection.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Yep. Neat. Well, anything else in the car world we need to address? I guess Toyota came out with the new Sequoia.
Oh yeah, that
and the LX600. Really nice. Yeah.
I didn't see the LX600.
That came out actually a little while ago.
It came out a little while ago, but there's like a joint event going on with them right now. I think.
Yep. Yeah, they also showed off the Tundra capstone there.
Yeah.
So the very luxurious Tundra. Mm-hmm. The Sequoia will be fine, I'm sure. It's such an inoffensive vehicle.
It'll go on for about 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't that come standard with a turbo V6 with like a pretty good amount of power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs it to move because
that's true.
It's
like
a big tree.
It's
not according to YouTube commenters.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
According to YouTube commenters, it's slow.
Yeah.
This one guy commented on the Tundra 0-60. Oh, a 3.5 F-150 and 6.2 Chevy would destroy that in a drag race. And if you look at the 0-60, I timed it 5.9 seconds.
That's pretty darn good.
That's really good. About the same as a 6.2 Silverado and 5.3 F1. It's just crazy.
Unfortunately, there's no way to convince commenters that their 2011 Honda Civic is not going to beat a McLaren P1. Like there's just no way to convince people that the video they're watching that their car is not faster because they've never driven anything else. Like they get in their Hyundai Veloster. and they're like, wow, this is excellent. This is so fast. And then they watch a video of a launch control that on camera is always going to look slower than it actually is.
And you're not feeling it.
And they're like, oh, my car's faster than that. So
Yeah.
interesting always. They always have private profiles. Have you noticed that? It's always private. So,
Well, speaking of commenters, Chris, we actually found out that you're now a member of the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah. Well, apparently, since I thought the ride was less than stellar on the Explorer ST, it means that I'm a homosexual.
I think that is what is implied by you criticizing the ride quality. Therefore, you must be gay. There's no other
So it's interesting. So you guys must not feel ride quality then.
No, we only notice power.
You only notice power.
Yeah, because we're straight men. It's just power,
hand
speed,
gripping the top of the steering wheel, flexed.
Yeah.
You know,
manuals only.
Other hand on the person's thigh.
Yep, exactly. But because you dared declare that the sport-tuned Explorer did not ride quite as well as the Platinum.
That was another funny point about that comment is, I've also driven the Platinum and it rides great. I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
It's
well, he said they ride
different.
the same, I think he implied.
Oh, okay.
Which is just so stupid.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Because I've also driven the Platinum.
And it rides great.
And it rides great. And I think that if that Explorer ST didn't have the 21s, it would have ridden better too.
Sure. Yeah.
But it rode like crap. It was bad. It was noticeably, that's the main thing I noticed in that car was how terrible the ride was.
Yeah. Like
really properly stiff. And everyone, I drove a couple of friends in that car and they commented on how bad the ride was.
And the thing is, it's the ST.
Yeah, it doesn't have to have
doesn't ride as well as the Titanium, and the SHO doesn't ride as well as the Limited. It's just
it's anything for people to complain. It's anything for people to pass their misery on to you.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Well, I'm just actually happy about it because now Daily Motor's more diverse.
That's right.
We have a member of the LGBT community.
Aren't you guys
going to
praise me for being brave?
Yeah, you're brave for coming out in your Explorer ST video.
Yeah,
we should retitle it to Car Reviewer Comes Out.
Car Reviewer Comes Out, and then put the timestamp of when I go over the rough ride section.
And you're like, oh dear. All right. Well, we will be back next week to hear what endeavors Chris has gone on to in his new chapter of his life. And we'll also be back to tell you how good the M240i and Toyota ES are and talk about our new Stinger and Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro in very ugly 2000s Escape green. Lime green. Yeah. I'll show you real quick, Nathan. This is the Escape we're getting. Or not Escape. Let's see how many times I call it that. The 4Runner TRD Pro that we're getting. The picture doesn't get any bigger than this.
Whoa.
I can zoom in, I guess. If for those of you who can't see, it's like popsicle green.
2008 Escape Hybrid.
Yeah. Yep. Very interesting color choice from TRD.
We had a customer at Buttman back in my day when I worked as a service advisor. Back in my day, who drove down to like Kentucky to get an Escape that color because she was so set on that car that she drove like 8 hours to go find one.
And blame her. It's a cool color.
I don't think it was a hybrid either. It was just a normal.
Could get them normal.
Yeah, it was maybe it was. I don't remember. It's been so long.
They are cool colors.
Yeah, they're cool. It's just weird to see it.
Yeah, I don't love it on that.
Well, on that, yeah.
This photo might look like. I mean, it might just be a bad photo.
No, I've seen those in person, and they're not.
Really? I didn't know.
They're
I didn't even know
gopping.
they made them in the
I didn't
TRD
know
Pro.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, thank you all so much for listening and for watching, and we're gonna see and caress your eardrums next week. With Charlie, Nathan, and Chris from Daily Motor, and as always,
Drive on.
Keep driving on. Do it. Never stop.